A very gentle welcome to you, dear friend, as you settle into this quiet space with us. We are so pleased you have chosen to journey into the Kettle's warmth in Sunken Gardens, a tale woven from the softest threads of tranquility and the comforting aroma of hearth and herb. It is our deepest wish that these words, like the gentle steam from a familiar kettle, will rise to meet you, easing away the day's sharp edges and inviting your mind to a place of profound, untroubled rest, where sleep may find you as softly as a falling leaf before the path descends into the garden's gentle embrace, and you allow the cares of the world to drift away like mist in the morning sun. If this story and the quietude it offers bring a measure of peace to your heart, a simple appreciative tap to like this story and perhaps to subscribe to our channel where more such quietude awaits would be a kindness warmly received. And now, with a soft sigh, let the gentle warmth of the Sunken Gardens begin to enfold you. Chapter 1. The Descent into Warmth. The path revealed itself, less by clear markings and more by a subtle invitation in the landscape, a gentle dip between unassuming ferns where the air tasted different. Rhys paused, drawing in a breath. Here the crisp scent of pine and dry earth began to soften, replaced by something damper, warmer, carrying a faint, unexpected sweetness like distant blossoms mingled with turned soil. It was a quiet promise, a suggestion of shelter away from the weariness that clung like a heavy cloak, a weight carried for too long across indifferent roads. With a soft sigh, releasing not just air but a measure of the world's hurry, Rhys stepped onto the path, the ground yielding slightly underfoot. The way sloped downwards gradually, curving gently out of sight. The sounds of the upper world, the breeze in the high branches, the distant call of a bird faded remarkably quickly, replaced by profound quietude. It wasn't silence exactly, but a hushing, as if the air itself held its breath. The walls of the descent rose slowly on either side, smooth stone, cool at first to a tentative touch, but growing perceptibly warmer as Rhys moved deeper, step by gentle step. The light shifted too, losing its directness, becoming filtered and soft, as if strained through layers of unseen leaves. A distinct warmth began to radiate upwards, not harsh, but pervasive and gentle, like the air after a summer rain has met sun-warmed earth. It seemed to rise from the very stones underfoot, flagstones worn smooth by time or water, now emanating a comforting heat that seeped through the soles of Rhys's worn boots. It was a welcoming sensation, coaxing tired muscles to ease, inviting a slower pace. The scent intensified here, damp, fertile earth, the mineral tang of wet stone, and woven through it all, that intriguing, comforting aroma, now clearly reminiscent of gently brewing herbal tea. The path opened into a space that felt both hidden and ancient. It was a large, natural depression, a sunken garden cradled within the earth. Soft, ambient light, source unseen, filtered down, illuminating a place of quiet wonder. Lush vegetation thrived, unlike anything Rhys had seen before. Broad leaves and shades of deep emerald and calming teal, ferns unfurling in slow motion, and carpets of moss that seemed to glow with a soft internal luminescence, bathing the nearby stones in a gentle viridian light. Water glistened on smooth surfaces, dripping with a soft, infrequent patter from the high, unseen ceiling of the hollow. In the center of this tranquil haven, tending to a cluster of plants with leaves like dark velvet, stood a figure. Maeve, the garden's keeper, moved with an unhurried grace that seemed perfectly attuned to the garden's quiet rhythm. She looked up as Rhys emerged, her expression holding no surprise, only a gentle, welcoming kindness in her eyes. Her smile was as soft and unassuming as the light, instantly putting Rhys at ease, melting away the last vestiges of traveler's caution. There was an aura of deep calm about her, as palpable as the garden's warmth. Maeve straightened slowly, wiping her hands on a soft, earth-toned apron. Without needing words of explanation for Rhys's arrival, she simply nodded towards a small, smooth stone bench near a steaming pool. "Welcome," she said, her voice low and soothing, like the murmur of the water itself. "You look weary. Come sit and rest a while. The journey here can take much from a soul." Her tone was simple, understanding, offering comfort without question. She moved towards a small alcove where a kettle, warmed by the steam rising from a fissure in the rock, sat ready. Deftly, she scooped fragrant dried leaves into a simple ceramic mug, pouring the naturally heated water over them. Steam rose, carrying that wonderfully comforting scent, chamomile perhaps, mingled with something spicy and earthen. She brought the mug to Rhys, her movements fluid and calm. "Drink," she offered gently. "It will help settle the dust of the road." Rhys took the mug, the ceramic warm and smooth against chilled fingers. The heat radiated outwards, a small sun chasing away the lingering coolness of the descent. Bringing the mug closer, Rhys inhaled the fragrant steam, feeling the warmth travel not just into hands, but seemingly deeper, loosening a knot held tight within the chest. It felt like the first true, easy breath taken in a very long time. Looking around at the softly glowing plants, feeling the gentle warmth rising from the ground, hearing the quiet drip of water, a profound sense of peace began to settle, soft and welcome as the garden's own moss. Chapter 2. Learning the Leaves. The days that followed unfolded with the gentle rhythm of the garden itself. Maeve, with infinite patience, began to share the quiet wisdom of the Sunken Gardens, not through formal lessons, but through shared, simple tasks. Rhys learned to recognize the subtle shifts in the air that spoke of the garden's needs, the way the broad leaves drooped slightly when thirsty, or how the glowing moss pulsed with a softer light when the air grew cool. Each action was performed mindfully, without rush, turning chores into quiet meditations. Maeve guided Rhys's hands to feel the varied textures of the unique flora. Some leaves were surprisingly cool and smooth, like polished jade, despite the ambient warmth. Others were covered in a soft, downy fuzz, velvety to the touch, that seemed to absorb sound, adding to the garden's hush. Rhys learned to differentiate the papery thinness of the sun petal leaves, which gathered the filtered light, from the thick, resilient fronds of the deep water ferns growing near the steaming pool. Touching each leaf became an act of connection, feeling the subtle life pulsing within. Allow your own hands to feel soft and relaxed as you imagine these gentle textures. The sounds of the garden became a soothing, constant presence. The infrequent, soft plink of water dripping from the high ceiling onto broad leaves or into small, hidden pools was a gentle percussion against the quiet hum of the earth's warmth. Close by, the warm pool bubbled almost silently, the steam rising in slow, hypnotic spirals. When a gentle draft occasionally stirred the air, the broad leaves would rustle against each other with a soft, papery sigh, a sound like quiet turning pages. These gentle sounds washed over Rhys, a balm to a mind long accustomed to noise. Let these peaceful sounds quiet your own thoughts. Maeve showed Rhys how to water the plants, using ladles carved from smooth gourds to scoop water from the central pool. The water itself was wonderfully warm, almost body temperature, and felt silky against the skin. Pouring it gently around the base of each plant, watching it soak quickly into the rich dark earth, was a deeply grounding activity. The simple act of providing nourishment felt restorative, a quiet exchange between caretaker and cared for. Feel the sensation of warmth spreading through you, like the water sinking into the receptive soil. Rhys learned which plants preferred the deepest warmth, huddling near the geothermal vents, their leaves often flushed with reds and oranges, and which thrived in the cooler, shadier peripheries, their colors leaning towards blues and deep purples. Maeve pointed out the night-scented bloom, whose pale flowers only opened in the dimmest light, releasing a fragrance that was incredibly calming, designed, she explained softly, to encourage peaceful rest. Rhys would often pause near them as the light faded, breathing in their gentle perfume, feeling anxieties soften and drift away like the scent on the warm air. Sometimes, Maeve would crush a specific leaf between her fingers, holding it out for Rhys to smell. One had a sharp, clean scent like mint and rain. Another smelled remarkably like warm bread just from the oven. A third was deeply earthy, like the smell of the soil after watering. These were the beginnings of understanding the garden's gifts, the properties held within each stem and leaf that Maeve used in her comforting teas. It was a slow learning, absorbed through gentle repetition and quiet observation rather than memorization. The work was never strenuous. Tasks were broken up by periods of rest, sitting on the smooth stone benches, simply observing the play of soft light on the damp walls, or watching the slow, deliberate unfurling of a new fern frond. In the pervasive warmth, muscles that had long been tight with weariness began to lengthen and soften. Rhys felt a sense of ease settling deep within, a quiet contentment blooming in the peaceful atmosphere, nurtured by the simple act of tending life. Feel your own muscles softening now, releasing any tension they might hold. There was no clock here, no sense of time urgency. The garden existed in its own peaceful continuum, marked only by the subtle shifts in light filtering from above and the slow, steady growth of the plants. Rhys began to move with the same unhurried grace as Maeve, finding a natural rhythm in watering, tending, observing. The simple act of being present in this warm, quiet sanctuary felt like a homecoming, a gentle return to a state of balance long thought lost. Chapter 3. The Ritual of Tea. Central to the gentle rhythm of life in the Sunken Gardens was the daily ritual of preparing and sharing tea. It was more than mere refreshment. It was a mindful practice, a quiet celebration of the garden's gifts, and a moment of shared, peaceful connection. Rhys began to look forward to these moments, finding profound comfort in their predictable warmth and serenity. The ritual usually took place as the soft light filtering from above began to deepen, signaling the garden's slow transition towards rest. Maeve would move to the alcove where the kettle perpetually steamed, the rising vapor catching the light like a silken ribbon. She would carefully select leaves and dried blossoms from woven baskets stored on cool stone shelves, perhaps the downy leaves of the silver rest plant known for its calming properties, mixed with the tiny star-like flowers of the sweet sigh blossom, whose faint fragrance eased worries. Rhys watched her hands, deft and gentle, measuring the ingredients not by count, but by an intuitive sense of balance. Sometimes, Maeve would use a smooth stone mortar and pestle to gently crush dried herbs or roots before adding them to the pot. The action released wonderful aromas into the warm air, a hint of spice like cinnamon bark, the clean scent of dried mint, or the deep, grounding fragrance of powdered Atherian root. The soft, rhythmic sound of the pestle against the stone was deeply soothing, a quiet heartbeat in the garden's stillness. Rhys would often close their eyes, simply breathing in the complex, comforting scents, feeling them settle the mind. Once the blend was chosen, Maeve would pour the geothermally heated water from the kettle over the leaves and flowers within a sturdy earthenware pot. The water, drawn earlier from the garden's central pool, seemed to carry the earth's warmth within it. They would let the tea steep, sitting in comfortable silence on the stone bench, watching the steam curl upwards from the pot spout, listening to the quiet sounds of the garden, the drip of water, the occasional soft rustle of leaves. Allow yourself to sink into this peaceful silence. Maeve would then pour the infused tea into 2 simple ceramic mugs, handleless and designed to be cupped in both hands. The color of the brew varied depending on the blend, sometimes a pale, luminous gold, other times a rich, rosy amber, or a deep, soothing green. She would pass 1 mug to Rhys, her movements always calm and deliberate. The warmth of the ceramic seeped instantly into Rhys's palms, a deeply comforting sensation that spread up the arms and into the chest. Feel the gentle warmth spreading through your own hands now. They would sip the tea slowly, savoring the complex, gentle flavors. Each blend offered a different kind of comfort. The silver rest tea seemed to soften the edges of thought, making worries feel distant and unimportant. The sweet sigh blend brought a feeling of gentle upliftment, a quiet appreciation for the present moment. The Atherian root tea felt deeply grounding, connecting Rhys to the steady, ancient warmth of the earth below. With each sip, Rhys felt tension melting away, shoulders relaxing further, breath deepening naturally. Let your own breath become slow and easy. Often they sat in silence, simply enjoying the shared warmth and the peaceful atmosphere. Occasionally, Maeve might offer a quiet observation about the garden, noticing a new bloom or the way the light fell on a particular mossy patch. Rhys might murmur appreciation for the tea's flavor or the comfort it brought. Words were few, used only when they enhanced the quietude, never intruding upon it. The companionship was felt in the shared presence, the mutual appreciation of the garden's peace. Holding the warm mug, feeling its gentle weight, became an anchor to the present moment. The ritual cleansed the mind, washing away the remnants of any lingering anxieties from the world outside, reinforcing the feeling of sanctuary. It was a reminder that peace could be found in simple things, in warmth, in flavor, in shared quiet. Feel the comforting weight in your own hands, real or imagined, anchoring you to this moment of rest. As the last drops of tea were finished, a profound sense of ease would settle over Rhys. A pleasant drowsiness, warm and gentle, often followed. The ritual marked a transition, a gentle preparation for the garden's deepening quietude as the light faded further, signaling a time for rest. It was a perfect, peaceful end to the garden's slow, quiet day, leaving Rhys feeling nourished, calm, and deeply content. Chapter 4. Echoes in the Earth. As Rhys grew more comfortable within the garden's embrace, explorations began to wander into its quieter, less tended corners. Beyond the main pathways, hidden alcoves curved back into the earth walls, spaces where the geothermal warmth seemed to concentrate, pooling like liquid comfort. Moss grew thicker here, glowing with a richer, deeper light, and the air felt still and ancient, heavy with peace. It was in these secluded spots that Rhys discovered the warming stones. These stones were not sharp-edged or rough, but incredibly smooth, shaped by centuries of gentle heat and condensation. They were embedded naturally within the alcove walls, or lay like large, serene eggs upon beds of luminous moss. Their surfaces radiated a constant, gentle warmth, more noticeable than the ambient air, inviting touch. Hesitantly at first, Rhys reached out, placing a palm flat against the smooth, warm surface of a large gray stone nestled in a particularly quiet niche. The sensation was immediate and deeply grounding. It felt like touching the very heart of the garden's warmth, a direct connection to the slow, steady pulse of the earth far below. The warmth flowed upwards, not just onto the skin, but seemingly into the bones, easing aches Rhys hadn't even realized were still held. It was a feeling of profound stability, like leaning against something ancient and utterly reliable. Allow yourself to feel that same sense of stability and support right now. Rhys found returning to these stones became a natural part of the daily rhythm. Sometimes just sitting near them was enough, feeling the warmth radiate outwards, creating a small pocket of deeper tranquility. Other times, Rhys would rest a cheek against the smooth surface, closing their eyes, feeling the gentle heat soothe away any lingering mental chatter. The stone felt patient, accepting, simply offering its warmth without expectation. Feel the release as you let go of any thoughts, just resting in this peaceful warmth. Maeve, noticing Rhys's quiet affinity for these spots, offered a gentle explanation one afternoon during their tea ritual. "The garden remembers," she said softly, her gaze distant yet focused. "It holds on to the quiet feelings, the peaceful moments shared here over long years. The warmth isn't just heat. It carries echoes of contentment, of restfulness." She smiled gently. "Some stones, the oldest ones, hold it more strongly. You can feel it, can't you? Like stepping into a room where someone has just been thinking kind thoughts." Rhys nodded slowly, understanding dawning. It wasn't just imagination then, that feeling of being enveloped in something more than just physical warmth when near the stones. It was a subtle presence, a pervasive sense of well-being that permeated the air in these alcoves. It felt like being wrapped in a soft, invisible blanket woven from countless moments of past peace. Feel yourself wrapped in such a blanket now, safe and deeply comfortable. From then on, Rhys approached the warming stones with a quiet reverence. Touching them became a way to consciously connect with that stored tranquility, to absorb the gentle echoes of contentment. Placing both hands flat upon a large, welcoming stone, Rhys would breathe slowly and deeply, imagining the warmth flowing in, filling empty spaces, smoothing away rough edges within. The steady heat provided a focal point, anchoring the mind in a state of deep physical relaxation. Feel your own body grow heavy and relaxed, anchored by this gentle warmth. Exploring further, Rhys found stones of different temperatures and textures. Some were barely warmer than the air, offering a subtler comfort. Others, nestled deeper near fissures where steam occasionally whispered, were almost hot, radiating a powerful, penetrating heat that felt incredibly soothing on tired muscles. Each offered a slightly different flavor of peace, a unique connection to the garden's ancient, gentle energy. These quiet moments spent with the warming stones, absorbing the earth's steady heat and the echoes of past peace, became integral to Rhys's healing. They offered a profound sense of being held, nurtured, and deeply grounded. In the stillness of the alcoves, surrounded by the soft glow of moss and the palpable warmth of the ancient stones, Rhys found a stillness that resonated deep within, a quiet assurance that peace was not only possible, but eternally present within the heart of the garden. Chapter 5. Finding Stillness. Weeks melted into a gentle flow, marked not by dates, but by the slow unfurling of new leaves and the subtle shifts in the garden's soft light. The world outside the sunken gardens, with its noise and hurry, began to feel like a distant memory, a half-forgotten dream. Rhys moved through the garden's quiet routines with an ease that felt innate, as if this gentle rhythm was the one the soul had always yearned for. The weariness carried for so long had dissolved, replaced by a quiet energy born of rest and peace. The simple acts of tending the garden became sources of deep contentment. Watering the thirsty plants, feeling the cool, smooth handle of the gourd ladle, watching the dark earth drink, brought a sense of quiet satisfaction. Sweeping the stone pathways clear of fallen petals or leaves with a soft broom made of bundled grasses was a moving meditation. The gentle, rhythmic swish-swish, a calming counterpoint to the dripping water. Each task, performed mindfully, reinforced the connection to this peaceful sanctuary. Feel the ease of gentle, rhythmic motion soothing your mind. Rhys learned to appreciate the smallest details, the intricate patterns of veins on a broad leaf, the way water droplets caught the light like tiny jewels on the glowing moss, the subtle variations in the scent of the air throughout the garden's slow cycle. Observing the almost imperceptible opening of a new flower bud over several days became a lesson in patience and the beauty of slow, natural unfolding. There was wonder here, not loud or dramatic, but quiet and profound, found in the perfection of the small and the gentle persistence of life. The daily tea ritual with Maeve remained a cherished anchor point. The familiar warmth of the mug, the soothing fragrance rising with the steam, the comfortable silence shared. These simple elements combined to create a powerful sense of well-being and belonging. Rhys no longer felt like a visitor, but a part of the garden's gentle existence, sharing in its quiet pulse. Allow yourself to feel that same sense of belonging, completely at ease where you are. One afternoon, sitting beside the steaming pool after finishing tea, Rhys watched a single large leaf detach itself from a high branch and drift slowly downwards, turning gently in the still air before settling weightlessly onto the surface of the water. There was no struggle, no resistance, just a quiet surrender to the gentle pull of the earth. In that moment, Rhys understood. The stillness sought wasn't an absence of sound or movement, but an inner state, an acceptance, a gentle alignment with the natural flow of things. It was a stillness found not by escaping the world, but by fully inhabiting this present moment here in the heart of the garden. It was in the warmth rising from the stones, in the soft light filtering from above, in the quiet companionship with Maeve, in the mindful tending of the plants. Peace wasn't a destination to be reached, but a quality of being to be cultivated like the garden itself. Feel that inner stillness growing within you now, quiet and deep. Rhys looked at Maeve, who sat gazing peacefully at the drifting leaf, a soft smile touching her lips. No words were needed. A deep sense of gratitude filled Rhys, warm and expansive as the garden's air. Gratitude for the path that led here, for Maeve's gentle guidance, for the profound healing quietude of this hidden sanctuary. It felt like coming home, not to a place, but to a state of being, a rediscovery of the peace that resides within. As the garden's light softened further, signaling time for deeper rest, Rhys felt completely at ease. The gentle sounds of the garden, the water's drip, the leaves' rustle became a lullaby. The pervasive warmth was a comforting embrace. Closing their eyes, Rhys breathed deeply, feeling the steady, calm rhythm of the garden mirrored within. Here, cradled in the earth's warmth, surrounded by gentle life and profound peace, stillness had been found. And in that stillness, rest came easily, soft and deep as the moss on the ancient stones. Allow yourself now to drift into that same deep, peaceful rest.